Hey world, welcome back to Keith's Universe. So today, I want to talk about oat milk. So not so long ago, there was a huge controversy involving oat milk. Some online influencers and mainstream medias even claiming it is more unhealthy than drinking a glass of Coca-Cola. Well, first of all, I would argue that that argument is a massive overstatement. To its credit, oat milk does actually have a lot of benefits which can be a plus from a health point of view. There was a recent article published by Plant-Based News addressing this very topic. That article in question was entitled, "Is Oat Milk Bad for You? The Truth Behind the Claims." It is a very informative piece, and I highly recommend that you check out that article and read it in its entirety. As always, links will be down below in the description. So, allegedly, the most recent anti-oat milk propaganda tirade was inspired by a TikTok video created by actor Andrea Valle. This, of course, is a comedy sketch where she portrays cow's milk as a sort of ex-girlfriend kind of character.
Well, well, well. Look who's come crawling back.
I mean, the sheer outrageousness of this entire sketch does make it kind of funny, and it would be more funny if there wasn't so much misinformation and just wrong information in the entire sketch. Mainly the claims that oat milk will spike your glucose.
Had enough of her spiking your glucose, have ya?
And the wild claim that oat milk is bad for the environment.
You sick of her being the toxic one now, yeah? She's the one that's bad for the environment.
Okay, let's break things down, shall we? Of course, this has caused the mainstream media to really run with this entire narrative. Some even coming out with headlines such as, "The scary downsides of oat milk." Again, in my opinion, massive overstatements. The fact that any article uses the term scary in order to initiate this conversation proves that this entire hit job on oat milk is a pure scare tactic. And the reason why they do these scare tactics is to make the dairy industry look good. And believe you me, they need to do an awful lot to make the dairy industry look good. So the PBN article that I just referenced goes into a lot of detail, too much detail for me to go through in this video, but let's look at the two main issues brought up in Andrea's video, which are in fact discussed in the PBN article. So according to Emily McKee, who is a dietitian at the Vegan Society, oat milk has a higher glycemic index than dairy and some other dairy alternatives such as soy milk. This is generally not because of a higher total carbohydrate content on average, but instead due to its lower protein content, which means the carbohydrates in oat milk are digested more rapidly. Ups and downs in our blood sugar levels are a very normal physiological response to eating and drinking. If you do not have a diagnosis of diabetes, insulin prevents your blood sugars from spiking too high, no matter what food you have eaten. With this in mind, the carbohydrate content of oat milk spiking blood sugar is not something that the majority of people should have any concerns about. I think a very important takeaway from this point is that most people who are consuming oat milk are not consuming it by the bucket load. I mean, who could even afford that anyway? Most people are gonna splash a little on top of their cereal, into their coffee, their tea, even if you have an oat latte, which is really not that much. At least not enough to cause a spike in your blood sugar, because it won't. The vibe of this whole argument is so similar to the anti-soy milk a lot of people had a couple of years ago, and apparently some people do still have this mentality. But unless you're drinking 3 liters of it a day, it's not gonna cause you any harm. Also, if you're interested, I'd also highly recommend you check out Mike the Vegan's video, Oatley, the New Coke, a Blood Sugar Experiment. And yes, that video is 3 years old. It was posted 3 years ago, but it's still very relevant to this conversation and very relevant today.
It's not to say that nothing's happening with Oatly. It absolutely is a spike, but I wonder if I drank Oatly in a normal way, like a normal human being, if it would have created as much of a spike. Either way, I don't see anything concerning about the 8-ounce normal serving size. But then the Coke is the amount that people are drinking, so that is the main point here.
Ironically, oat milk is actually the most eco-friendly milk alternative out there, and it's also more eco-friendly than dairy milk. Compared to dairy milk, oat milk requires less water in order to produce it. In order to produce 1 liter of dairy milk, it requires 628 liters of water, whereas to produce the same equivalent of oat milk, depending on the brand, it typically only requires 48 liters of water. That is a staggering difference. It reduces greenhouse gas emissions. Based on a 200 milliliter glass of oat milk, that will be responsible for around 0.18 kilograms of CO2 emissions. That will be significantly less than dairy and even less than soy milk, making it about 80% less than dairy. In order to produce 1 liter of dairy milk, it requires 628 liters of water, whereas to produce the same equivalent of oat milk, depending on the brand, it typically only requires 48 liters of water. That is a staggering difference. So to claim that oat milk is worse for the environment compared to dairy, well, that is complete falsehood. The fact of the matter is, oat milk is one of the most, if arguably not the most, eco-friendly milk or milk alternatives out there. Now, going back to the health point again, obviously, if you're overindulging on oat milk, that's not going to be a good option for anyone. But you could really make that very same argument with really any food. If you consume oat milk in a moderate or reasonable amount, it can actually have a lot of health benefits. Firstly, being dairy-free is always going to be a better option for those of us who are lactose intolerant, which is about 65% of the global population, by the way. So you will be in turn skipping all those nasty side effects commonly associated by consuming dairy. Oat milk is naturally high in fiber, about twice as much as dairy, so naturally enough it is going to be very beneficial for our guts and our digestive system. Oat milk is rich in B vitamins, including B2, which is essential for the growth and the functioning of cells. It also contains B12, which is a key player in the functioning and developing of brain and nerve cells. It can also contribute to your daily intake of protein and calcium. So despite what many claim, these nutrients are not totally void in oat milk. Obviously, you're going to get a lot more calcium and protein from soy milk. However, if you're already consuming protein and calcium-rich foods, having a little oat milk on the side is just going to help to top it up just a little bit. Bottom line is, if you want to have some oat milk, have some oat milk. Just maybe don't go drinking it by the bucket load. At the end of the day, consuming any plant-based milk is always the better choice than consuming dairy. It's cruelty-free and it's lactose-free. So anyhow, those are my thoughts on the oat milk controversy. As always, share me your thoughts down below in the comment section down below, or submit a video response via my Reddit. Until next time. See you later, everyone. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to check out some of my previous videos, and also feel free to follow me on my social media, including Mastodon and Bluesky.